They said love was patient. They said love was kind. But nobody warned her that love could also be hungry. Here is a man who never loved loudly. Everyone who knew Daniel Cade said the same thing. He's quiet. He's respectful. He's not like other men. Daniel didn't chase women. He didn't flirt recklessly. He didn't raise his voice. And that was why Clara Mensah trusted him. Because predators who shout are easy to spot. It's the silent ones that starve you gently. Clara believed in small joys. Morning sunlight through thin curtains. Handwritten notes. Prayers whispered instead of shouted. She worked as a volunteer counselor at a community center. She believed people could change. That broken things could be fixed. That love healed. Her friends said she was too soft. Daniel said that was why he loved her. The world hasn't hardened you, he told her once. I want to protect that. That sentence stayed with her. It shouldn't have. Why would someone who claims to want to protect you later destroy you? How they met. They met at a charity fundraiser. Daniel donated quietly. No cameras. No speeches. Just a signature on a check large enough to turn heads. Clara noticed because she was asked to thank him. People like you restore my faith, she said. Daniel smiled. Not wide. Not warm. Measured. Faith is expensive, he replied. She laughed, thinking it was a joke. It wasn't. The courtship. Daniel was careful. No pressure. No rushing. No red flags. At least none Clara could see. He called when he said he would. He listened more than he spoke. He remembered details. What tea she liked. Her childhood fear of thunderstorms. The anniversary of her mother's death. That kind of attention feels like love. Until you realize it's data. What if every tender moment was actually preparation? The first lie. The first lie was small. Daniel said his parents were dead. They died young, he said. Ritual accident, he added quickly, then laughed. Work accident. Sorry. Clara didn't ask more. She should have. The engagement. It happened fast, but not too fast to be suspicious. A year of dating. A year of consistency. A year of nothing going wrong. He proposed in private. No crowd. No kneeling. He simply placed the ring in her hand and said, "Marry me. I don't want a wedding. I want a future." She cried. Her friends clapped. Her pastor prayed. No one noticed Daniel never said "I love you" during the proposal. Why propose without saying, "I love you"? After the ring. That's when things shifted. Not sharply. Subtly. Daniel began asking questions. About her health. About her menstrual cycle. About her dreams. Just curiosity, he said. He asked her to stop praying out loud. Faith should be private, he said. He asked her not to post photos anymore. Privacy is protection, he said. Each request sounded reasonable. That's how control enters quietly. The dreams. Clara started having nightmares. Dark rooms. Chanting voices. A blade she never saw, only felt. Daniel held her when she woke up shaking. Bad dreams don't mean bad things, he whispered. Sometimes they mean destiny is close. That sentence made her skin crawl. She told herself she was overreacting. What if your nightmares weren't fear, but warning? The strange request. 3 weeks before the wedding, Daniel asked for something unusual. He wanted a cleansing retreat. No phones. No contact. Just us. A private property he owned outside the city. Before marriage, he said, we should leave our old selves behind. Her friends objected. Her pastor hesitated. Daniel smiled politely. If she trusts me enough to marry me, he said. She trusts me enough to spend one weekend alone. Clara agreed. Love often sounds like trust. The road. They drove at night. The road narrowed. Streetlights disappeared. Trees closed in like witnesses. Clara noticed something strange. Daniel was humming. Not a song. A pattern. She asked what it was. He said, something my father taught me. Her chest tightened. You said your parents were dead. Daniel didn't answer. The car kept moving. As they passed through an iron gate that closed behind them on its own, Clara felt it. Not fear. Not yet. Something worse. The feeling that choice had already left her, and she was only now being informed. The gate closed behind them. Not loudly. Not violently. Just enough to sound final. The property that wasn't on any map. Clara noticed the silence first. No insects. No distant cars. No wind. The house stood alone, wide, old, and breathing like something that had waited too long. This is beautiful, she said, forcing a smile. Daniel nodded. It listens. She laughed nervously. Listens. To intentions, he replied, unlocking the door. The lock clicked twice. Clara didn't know why, but her heart started racing. Why would a house need to listen? Inside the stillness, the interior was spotless. Too spotless. No dust. No family photos. No signs of life. Just symbols carved into wood. Shapes that looked decorative until you stared too long. What does this mean? Clara asked, pointing to one. Daniel placed his hand over it casually. Old art, he said. Inherited taste. She nodded. Love makes people stop asking questions they already know the answers to. The first rule. Daniel took her phone gently. No distractions, he said. She hesitated. I'll keep mine too, he added, slipping his own phone into a drawer. That made it feel fair. That was the trick. Why remove every witness before the truth appears? The change in his voice. That night, Daniel cooked. He never cooked before. The meal smelled rich, unfamiliar spices, heavy and sweet. Family recipe, he said. Clara ate slowly. After a few bites, her limbs felt warm. Heavy. Daniel. I feel dizzy. He smiled. Not the polite smile. Not the measured one. Something else. Rest, he said softly. You've been carrying too much goodness. Her vision blurred. Between sleep and knowing, Clara drifted, not unconscious, but suspended. She heard Daniel speaking. Not to her. To the walls. To what's listening, he whispered. She tried to move. Her body didn't respond. Panic bloomed. This is not love. This is not love. What happens when you realize the truth but can't move? The other voices. She heard footsteps. More than one. Low murmurs. A woman's voice, old and dry. She is suitable. Another voice replied. Purity matters. Daniel answered calmly. She believes. That's enough. Clara's heart slammed against her ribs. They were talking about her like she wasn't there. Memory as a weapon. Her mind clawed backward. The questions he asked. The way he tracked her cycle. The insistence on privacy. The way he never said I love you. Only I choose you. She understood now. She wasn't a partner. She was a selection. How long had he been choosing her for the wrong reason? The engagement ring. She felt Daniel slide the ring off her finger. Metal scraped skin. "Don't," she whispered, barely audible. He leaned close. "I never needed the ring," he said gently. "It was just proof you said yes." Tears streamed sideways into her hair. "You said you loved me." Daniel paused. "I said you were perfect," he corrected. The woman in the mirror. Clara woke later in a small room. A mirror faced the bed. She barely recognized herself. Paler. Smaller. Fear hollowing her eyes. On the mirror, written faintly, as if etched long ago, "What is loved is offered." Her stomach dropped. She screamed. Who wrote that? And how many saw it before her? Daniel's other face. Daniel entered quietly. He wore no suit now. Just plain clothes. Barefoot. "You weren't supposed to wake yet," he said. Clara struggled against the restraints. "Why?" she sobbed. "Why me?" Daniel knelt. "Because this was the closest he ever came to honesty. Because you believe love means sacrifice," he said. "And I needed someone who wouldn't fight fate." She shook her head violently. "You're sick." Daniel didn't argue. "Love is expensive," he said again. "You told me that once." Footsteps approached the door again. The murmurs returned. Daniel stood and straightened his shirt. "They're ready," he said calmly. Clara screamed as the lights went out. And somewhere in the dark, something ancient listened. The worst thing about the darkness wasn't the fear. It was the realization that she had been loved only long enough to be destroyed. When the lights returned, the lights came back slowly. Not all at once. One bulb at a time. Yellow. Weak. Flickering. Clara blinked, her eyes burning, her throat raw from screaming. The room had changed. The bed was gone. So was the mirror. She was now seated on a wooden chair, wrists tied, feet bare against cold stone. And she was no longer alone. How many people does it take to destroy one innocent life? The circle of silence. They stood around her. 5 of them. Men and women. Different ages. Different faces. But the same emptiness behind their eyes. Daniel stood among them, not at the center, but not outside either. Just included. That hurt more than the restraints. "You promised me forever," Clara whispered. Daniel didn't look at her. The woman who hesitated. One woman stepped forward. Older. Gray streaks in her hair. Hands trembling slightly. "She's younger than the others," the woman said. Daniel's head snapped up. "The age is right," he replied sharply. "And she believes." The woman swallowed. "For how long?" she asked. Silence fell. That was when Clara realized something crucial. Not all of them were strong enough to be monsters. What happens when guilt enters a room built on evil? Daniel's beginning, revealed. They made him speak. It was part of the process. "Tell her," the leader said. Daniel inhaled slowly. "My father taught me this," he began. He said love was leverage. That devotion could be harvested. Clara's heart cracked open. "My mother disagreed," he continued. "She tried to leave." His voice tightened. "They used her first. The room went still. Clara stared at him, horrified. "You could have stopped," she whispered. "You could have ended this." Daniel met her eyes for the first time. "I was raised inside it," he said flatly. "And raised people don't think they're trapped until they try to leave." Was Daniel a villain, or just the next victim who chose the wrong side? The truth about the engagement. The leader stepped forward. "The engagement was essential," he said calmly. "Consent matters. Emotional surrender strengthens belief." Clara shook violently. "You used my hope," she sobbed. "You used my faith." Daniel looked away. "You said yes," the man replied coldly. "And yes has consequences." The name on the wall. Clara's eyes darted to the far wall. She hadn't noticed it before. Names. Carved deep into stone. Dozens. Hundreds. Women. Dates. Some scratched out violently, as if someone tried to erase them. She screamed. "How many?" No one answered. But the older woman turned her face away and cried. "If evil leaves records, who will read them when it falls?" The first crack. Suddenly, a loud sound echoed through the house. A metallic thud. Then another. The lights flickered. The group froze. "That's not scheduled," someone whispered. Daniel stiffened. "No," he muttered. "It's too soon." For the first time since Clara arrived, fear crossed Daniel's face. The whisper of consequence. The older woman moved closer to Clara. Barely audible, she whispered. "If you survive, remember our names." Clara locked eyes with her. "I will," she whispered back. And in that moment, Clara understood something powerful. Evil always believes it controls time. But time is what destroys it. What if the ritual was already failing? Daniel breaks. The noise came again, louder. A door slamming somewhere below. Shouting. Panic rippled through the circle. Daniel stepped back. "This wasn't supposed to happen," he said. The leader grabbed him. "You brought chaos," he hissed. "Control it." Daniel's hands shook. For the first time, the man who orchestrated her destruction looked like a child who had realized too late that monsters do not protect their own. Clara's realization. As chaos grew, Clara stopped crying. She stopped begging. She stared at Daniel and said quietly, "You never loved me." Daniel flinched. "You loved what I would give you when I died." That was the sentence that broke him. Alarms began to scream. Not inside the room. Outside. Red light flooded the walls. Someone shouted, "They found us." The leader turned to Daniel. "This is your fault." And for the first time in his life, Daniel realized something horrifying. He was no longer useful. The sirens weren't meant for Clara. They were meant for everyone else. And that terrified them more than any prayer ever could. Panic has a sound. The house changed instantly. Not physically, emotionally. The air filled with shouting. Heavy footsteps. Doors slamming. Voices cracking under pressure. They weren't supposed to find us. Who talked? Shut her up. Hands grabbed Clara's chair and dragged her across the floor. Her skin burned against the rope as panic erased all coordination. Daniel followed, pale, breathing fast. This wasn't part of his inheritance. This was collapse. What happens when predators realize they're no longer in control? The leader's true face. They shoved Clara into a narrow underground room. Stone walls, dim lights, a single metal table. The leader slammed his hand down. "This was your responsibility," he snarled at Daniel. "You brought instability." Daniel's voice trembled. "You said love would keep her calm." The man laughed bitterly. "Love," he spat. "Love is noise. Fear is obedience." Clara looked at Daniel and finally saw him clearly. Not powerful, not chosen, just useful. The traitor revealed. The older woman stepped forward. "I made the call," she said quietly. Silence fell like a gunshot. Daniel stared at her. "You." "I watched girls disappear," she said. "I watched faith become a knife. I waited too long." The leader lunged. But before he reached her, lights exploded into brightness. A loudspeaker crackled. "This is a federal operation. So, step away from the captive." Clara sobbed. Not from relief, but from the grief. Because she knew someone would make her pay before this ended. When justice arrives, who tries to silence the truth first? Daniel's decision. Chaos erupted. The leader pulled a weapon. Someone screamed. Daniel moved. Not toward Clara, toward the exit. He ran. That was the moment Clara stopped loving him completely. The cost of cowardice. He didn't get far. A shot rang out. Daniel collapsed hard, skidding across stone. Blood spread beneath him. He gasped, stunned. Not dead. Not yet. Clara watched from the floor as officers stormed in, weapons raised, voices sharp and controlled. Daniel reached out. "Clara," he whispered. "I didn't want it to be like this." She stared at him. "You proposed to me knowing I would die." Daniel cried. Not because he was sorry, but because his future had vanished. Hook. Is regret still meaningful when it comes too late? The house speaks. They found everything. Hidden rooms. Records. Names. Photographs. The wall of names Clara had seen before was documented, photographed, preserved. What had been secret for decades now had witnesses. The house was no longer listening. It was testifying. Clara is free, but not whole. Paramedics wrapped Clara in blankets. The night air hit her lungs like shock. She shook uncontrollably. A female officer knelt in front of her. "You're safe now." Clara nodded, but safety felt unfamiliar. She glanced back as Daniel was carried out on a stretcher, alive, cuffed, bleeding. Their eyes met one last time. He opened his mouth. She turned away. Freedom doesn't always feel like victory. The public unravels. Within days, the story exploded. Missing women connected. Influential names exposed. Donations traced. Front organizations shut down. The group wasn't isolated. It was embedded. Careers collapsed. Marriages ended. Reputations burned. The ritual had fed on secrecy. And secrecy had died. Daniel pays. Daniel survived. Barely. But survival wasn't mercy. He was charged. Disowned. Named publicly. In court, he tried once more. "I loved her," he said weakly. Clara stood and spoke for the first time. "You loved what my death would buy you," she said calmly. "And you lost everything anyway." The courtroom went silent. Daniel lowered his head. When a lie is finally spoken out loud, who survives it? That night, alone in a safe house, Clara stared at her engagement ring, now sealed in an evidence bag. She realized something chilling. Daniel had not been the beginning. He was a middleman. And somewhere, others were still watching. They saved her life. But no one warned her that survival would demand everything else. The safe house. The safe house smelled like disinfectant and quiet. No chanting. No shadows. No walls listening. And yet Clara slept with the lights on. Every night. Because silence no longer meant peace. It meant anticipation. She woke up screaming more than once, hands clutching air, heart racing as if the ropes were still there. The therapist said, "You're safe." Clara nodded. But safety had not followed her out of the house. What if escape is only the first step of punishment? The others come forward. The news broke wider than anyone expected. Women began to speak. Some alive. Some broken. Some speaking through families who never stopped searching. Different cities. Different years. Same pattern. Love. Engagement. Isolation. Disappearance. Daniel's face became the symbol, but investigators knew better. He wasn't the architect. He was the delivery system. Clara testifies. The courtroom was packed. Cameras everywhere. Daniel sat behind glass now, thinner, hollow-eyed, stripped of the calm that once passed for control. When Clara took the stand, the room leaned forward. She didn't cry. She didn't shout. She spoke carefully. "He learned how to sound safe," she said. "He learned how to make patience feel like kindness. He didn't rush me, because he was never in a hurry." Daniel flinched. That hurt more than accusations. What happens when a predator's greatest strength becomes his confession? The fall of the others. The trial wasn't just about Daniel. Names surfaced. Some tried to flee. Some denied. Some turned on each other. The older woman testified too. "I stayed because I was afraid," she said. But fear doesn't excuse participation. She accepted her sentence without argument. For the first time, Clara saw something unexpected. A bad person choosing accountability. It didn't heal her, but it mattered. Daniel's last defense. On the final day, Daniel spoke. "I was raised in it," he said hoarsely. "I didn't know another way." Clara watched him and realized something terrifying. He meant it. But truth without repentance is just explanation. The judge responded calmly. Being raised in darkness does not grant permission to spread it. Sentence passed. Daniel was led away. Not violently. Quietly. Just like he lived. Is a quiet ending enough for a life built on destruction? Consequences outside prison. The damage continued. Families sued. Organizations collapsed. Properties seized. The house was demolished. Not sold. Not repurposed. Destroyed. The ground beneath it was sealed. Because some places don't deserve memory. Clara's guilt. Survivor's guilt came later. Why her? Why not the others? She donated the engagement ring for evidence, then asked to see it once more. Not because she missed him. Because she needed to understand how easily hope can be weaponized. She placed it in a box, closed it, and never opened it again. What do you do with the symbols that almost killed you? When the world moves on, public attention faded. Another story replaced it. Another outrage. But Clara remained. Healing doesn't trend. She changed her name. Moved cities. Started working with victims of emotional manipulation. She never said she was strong. She said she was awake. One night, months later, Clara received a letter. No return address. Inside, a single sentence. He wasn't the last. Her hands shook. Because deep down, she already knew. The letter didn't threaten her. That's what made it terrifying. It assumed she already understood. The letter. Clara read the sentence again. He wasn't the last. No name. No demand. No instructions. Just truth. She sat on the edge of her bed, the city humming outside, and felt something shift inside her chest. Fear didn't return. Resolve did. Because the worst thing that ever happened to her had already happened. And she survived it. What if survival wasn't the end of the story, but the beginning of responsibility? The pattern returns. Clara contacted investigators. Quietly. Privately. She shared the letter. They didn't dismiss it. Because something had been bothering them too. Similar engagement stories. Different cities. Different men. Same emotional blueprint. Daniel hadn't invented the method. He had learned it. And somewhere, the teachers were still breathing. The final name. Months later, a breakthrough. A financial analyst noticed something buried in seized accounts. A name that never appeared directly. Always indirect. Always insulated. Marcus Hale. Not a ritualist. Not a recruiter. A financier. The man who funded disappearances, cleaned money, and ensured silence. The real architect never touched blood. He paid others to do it. What if the worst evil is the one that never gets its hands dirty? The choice. Authorities wanted Clara to stay out of it. She didn't. She agreed to testify again. Not as a victim. As a witness. I won't let them keep hiding behind men like Daniel, she said. They don't get to keep using love as camouflage. Her voice didn't shake. It didn't need to. Marcus Hale falls. Marcus Hale was arrested in public. Not dramatic. Not violent. At a fundraising dinner. In front of cameras. In front of donors. In front of people who thought they knew him. His face didn't crumble. It hardened. Because men like him don't panic when exposed. They panic when abandoned. And this time, no one protected him. What happens when power realizes it is alone? The final consequences. Trials followed. Not quick. Not kind. Every document. Every transfer. Every erased name. Families testified. Survivors spoke. Marcus Hale received multiple life sentences. No parole. No legacy. No rewriting history. Daniel, watching from prison, attempted to appeal. It failed. He died years later behind bars. Not violently. Quietly. Unremembered. Just like his lies. Clara returns to the site. Years later, Clara visited the land where the house once stood. Nothing remained. Grass. Sky. Wind. She stood still. Not to forgive. Not to forget. But to acknowledge. This ends with me, she whispered. And for the first time, she believed it. What does it mean to end something that lived on silence? The reclaiming of love. Clara never married. Not out of fear. Out of clarity. She learned something most people never do. Love is not intensity. Love is not sacrifice. Love is not endurance. Love is safety. She built a life where safety was non-negotiable. And that was enough. The screen fades to black. Text appears slowly. Love that demands your silence is not love. Faith that feeds on fear is not faith. And evil always collapses under the weight of truth. The final sound is not music. It is breathing. Steady. Alive.